Oh, are we live? We're live. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's show of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you for watching us live on Facebook and YouTube. Baby, you're making a grumpy face. We're having technical difficulties because somebody decided they needed a new computer, but then all my connectors for the new computer don't work with anything. So we're trying to do the best.
I'd like to explain to y'all that this is pretty much an ongoing issue in our home, that someone constantly thinks she needs something new when she doesn't need something new, and then it causes chaos with everything else.
I don't even know where my phone is to share the show. It doesn't matter.
Nobody watches this.
Watch the show.
Nobody watches our nonsense anyway.
I think they should, though.
Well, they should, but they don't.
Well,
that's why nobody's complained that we've started 15 minutes late.
Babe, why have you started 15 minutes
and that
late?
we haven't had a show in 2 weeks? Nobody said a single word.
We were on vacation.
I think I had one person say, ready for the show, and I'm like, we're not having a show.
Like, that's too bad.
The one time.
Oh, well. Anyways, thank you. Welcome.
Tell your nonsense.
Okay. Please check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com.
Jesus Christ.
Go to the Facebook page at Hollywood Matrimony. Go to the YouTube, search Hollywood Matrimony. Go to Le Twitter and find Hollywood Matrimony. And what else are we on? Instagrams.
Everything.
The Instagrams. We are not on LinkedIn, even though I've tried to say that like 3 times. We're not like businessy. We're just fun people talking about movies. Okay. All right. Are you ready, babe?
Sure.
What do you want to talk about first, Betty? We've got a whole list of things.
Well, as you may have noticed, the 4 people that watched the show.
Hi, 4 people.
Excuse me. We have not had a show the last 2 weeks. One was because of our nightmares from travel. We had planned to have a show live from Orlando last week, and where we were supposed to get in town at 4, we got in town at 10 at night. And then by the time we got to the hotel, we're going to do a whole show about it.
It was actually about 8:30.
Well, I'm telling you, by the time we got to the hotel, it was like after 11.
It was like 11 something.
Yeah, we were 2 hours in the airport with no luggage. We're going to do an entire special on our Disney adventures because we do want to talk about the Disney
good stuff,
the Disney Plus, the Genie Plus stuff, the good stuff, how to use it, all that stuff. I figure a lot of people I've been seeing that are confused by it and don't understand it and don't like it. And we're going to put some rumors to bed. I've also had a couple people ask me about, apparently there's been a lot of bad stuff being said about Disney World and how bad it is and how bad they changed things. And
I saw some things about people saying how dirty it is. And
yeah, and somebody else was asking me, how is it there? Was it still awesome, or is it people that is really problems, or are they just a lot of haters? Which I feel was very much haters, because it felt like the exact same experience we've always had, but even better because we had it. But anyway, we're gonna do a special about that. This was all about the movies today, but we are wearing new shirts that we got, and we might do the show right after this and
we'll just go
in this one, and then we'll do a whole new live broadcast. It's all about Disney adventures. So we'll get to that later. So today we're gonna catch up with some of the movies we were supposed to talk about on last show.
I will at least share this.
Then last week we had some other issues that we ended up not being able to do the show because we were tired and working and classes, and it was a lot of drama. We decided she was playing catch for jobs, so we skipped the show again. So we did 2 weeks. So we got 2 weeks now, 3rd week of show stuff to talk about. So some of this might be a little bit old.
Yeah, deal with it.
If you've already seen it, then just go la 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 la.
All right. Well, we're backing it all the way up to right here. What I need to go do is get my mouse.
Yeah, we're gonna keep some of the older ones. We'll keep a little short, and then we'll move on to some of the new stuff. So yeah, so the first one was an all-new film, an entry into the Ice Age franchise that came straight to Disney Plus. This one is a spin-off film for Buck Wild. It's Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild.
Yes.
Who is voiced by Simon Pegg.
How is it now?
I don't know, what is he? What is that character? What is that thing?
He's a weasel.
Is he a weasel?
He's a weasel.
Are you sure that it's there? Or are you just saying that?
I'm fairly certain he's a weasel.
So you don't know, you just decided.
I'm about 90% certain he's a weasel.
Are you a weasel expert? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, it came straight to Disney Plus.
Now you're making me really wonder if he's a weasel.
I don't know. I thought he looked more like a ferret, but I don't know.
Oh.
But I don't know if this was one of those ones that was supposed to get a theater run, and then they decided to put on Disney Plus, because this franchise was actually a Fox franchise, which Disney bought, and I don't know what's happening. So either way, it's on Disney Plus now. What did you think? Or what do you think about the Ice Age franchise in general?
I love the Ice Age things. You're bumping the screen, babe. You can't do that.
It's an earthquake.
I like the Ice Age movies. I've always thought they're very clever. And I believe in dinosaurs. I believe in the Ice Age.
I believe I can fly.
And I think you have to believe in that stuff for it to be real. I don't know. Maybe not.
What the hell are you even talking about? It's a cartoon. You don't
I
believe
believe in dinosaurs.
You don't have to believe in anything. It's a cartoon.
Well, and I think it from a
and they talk, so I don't need to believe in any of this stuff.
Animals do talk. It's called
okay,
ruff
these
or
people
meow
talk
meow.
English.
Well, they've translated it for us because we're
Jesus
humans.
Christ.
Okay.
Continue.
Anyways, I love all the Ice Age movies. I think they're super fun. I've always found
excuse me,
the characters interesting, that you have this specific group of characters come together, because I don't think a saber-toothed tiger would be friends with like a sloth. Like he would probably try to eat
point
him.
Of the entire first movie. I know. Yeah.
And I think it's cute. And then we see the humans for a little bit, and then of course they have to die off because Ice Age. But it's just interesting. But that proves
a very weird, interesting take on the whole Ice Age and prehistoric era.
But this proves that there were humans.
Does this cartoon prove that?
Yes. Which I've been trying to
You know, this isn't a real documentary, right? This is an animated feature.
It's very true to the Bible to me.
With Ray Romano and people talking
and that's the problem I have with the new movie.
What?
No Ray Romano.
Oh, I don't care. I didn't actually care about the fact that all the main cast are different actors.
They're not even the same people.
But they're not hardly in the movie either.
I know. It's really about Buck and the
characters were in there more than I thought they were going to be. But
what are they called? What are the little critters? Possums.
Crash and
whoever, the Possum brothers.
Yeah, whatever. Crash and we'll say Fred. But they.
If I had my computer, I could
look it up. And it's interesting is it's not even really a Buck movie. It's more about those two possums than anything. Yeah. But it's a fun movie. It's a spin-off little adventure. They got some new characters. You do get the other original cast, but they're secondary. They are voiced by different actors. You could tell they're different, but it's not so bad that you care that much because they're not the focal point. Simon, she cared because I told her, and she goes, "Hey."
You can kind of notice
you can. Simon Pegg did do the voice for Buck again. There are two different people doing the voice of Crash Bandicoot or whatever his name is, and those two characters. But like I said, you kind of move past that, enjoy it for what it is. It's fine. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it was cute. I mean, it's not as great as the others, I don't think. I mean, it's its own little thing. I
thought it was just as good as the other ones. I mean, it's like I don't think any of the Ice Age movies are great. They're fun. I like the whole prehistoric nature and the dinosaurs and the different eras.
I love dinosaurs.
But it was a fun way to kind of freshen up the franchise and do something different, and take us on a different kind of franchise. So it's one of those that's worth checking out. Kids will like it. You don't have to see the original films to watch this one, but it doesn't make as much sense, obviously, to know who everybody is, because Buck was introduced in I think a third or fourth film or something like that. It was kind of a throwaway, and then he shows back up in kind of a passing when they're falling through the earth at one point. So he's kind of a random character that had a very important part at one point and has kind of been moved on from. And then they came back to him.
Correct.
So you even questioned at first how they made a movie because you thought they had all died.
Yeah, but
when we rewatched it, they hadn't. I'm like, you have a very warped view.
I thought all the animals died in the Ice Age, but what do I know? Except for the frozen animals they found. But whatever. Dinosaurs are real.
Despite what she tells you, this is not a documentary franchise. It's a animated series. And if you haven't seen the other ones, they have put all the Ice Age movies on Disney Plus now, so you can actually go through. We actually did a marathon and watched every one of them leading up to this one, and they were a lot of fun. If you like them, if you hate them, you'll hate this one too.
Why would you hate any of these? They're so
I'm just saying,
fun.
It is.
I'm gonna switch to the next slide.
Moving on.
Moving on.
The next one is Liam Neeson's latest rehash of his new persona since Taken. What happened?
I screwed something up.
You what?
I screwed something up by unplugging.
Are we not online?
We are online.
Oh.
I just forgot to plug. I unplugged something.
Oh, sorry.
I did need to unplug.
His latest movie is called Blacklight, which is basically another in the reinvention world of action star Liam Neeson that started with Taken. I love Liam Neeson. I love his action stuff, but I will say it started to kind of run thin.
Run its course on
Yeah, not because he's bad, but
I'm trying to make space for Vader.
The movies are either
there you go, baby.
Really struggling to kind of find their place to be Taken again, or you know, they're it's like, I don't know. It's like it just feels like every one of these is like, okay, here we are. Liam Neeson's going to be the tough guy again, you know. And I think he's tired of it too. He's said in some interviews that he was kind of done with this. And I heard they were going to do a remake of Naked Gun, and he was going to be the Leslie Nielsen character.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be really
fun. So he
fun.
talked about how maybe this phase of his career is done, and he's going to shift into more a comedy phase, which I'm all for. But at the same time, I'll be the first one to watch Liam Neeson shoot somebody.
I will too. I mean, this is not Taken or Taken 2 or the movie where he's in the forest with the wolves. It's not any of that. This one, he's the secret agent kind of thing. I guess he's basically the fixer for an agency, is essentially what it is.
Kind of FBI, CIA.
Kind of. We don't really know. And he's not formally on the books. He's like the secret underground agent that helps the other agents when they're in trouble.
So it's basically things we've seen numerous times, and then somebody double crosses somebody.
And because he's off the books, he can't, there's no recourse. I mean, he has to take care of it secret agent wise and go.
Yeah, so then there's the twist and the turns of who's involved and who's not, and which good guy you know is going to end up being a bad guy. And it's a movie you've seen 100 billion times before, but it's Liam Neeson, and he's good in the movie as usual. This one I felt he kind of seemed like he kind of walked through. You know, he didn't really bring anything new to this one.
I know, and I was hoping there would be more.
Like the Marksman he did, I actually liked a lot more, which is the one with him and the little Hispanic kid.
Yes.
That movie felt like there was at least character study and depth to it. This one felt more like a very generic.
Yeah, just like, I'm so irritated. I'm the irritated guy. I'm irritated to be here. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and
it was unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It felt like a straight to video kind of throwaway action flick that, you know, say, oh, Liam Neeson action, let's watch it. Okay, that was decent. You know, it's just nothing that I would run out and say everybody should watch it. It's awesome. Liam Neeson.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine. I mean, sorry, that's a sad review.
It is,
but it's a very generic FBI, CIA action guy with the double cross and the triple cross, and
it's pretty much every movie you've seen.
Yeah.
Honestly, outside of like The Marksman, it's pretty much almost every one of Liam Neeson movies that have come out in the last couple of years.
Yep.
Like I said, still a fan. We'll still watch every one he puts out.
I absolutely adore
I'm all down for watching him kill people.
There you go.
So,
all right, we're going to another one that came out a few weeks. Oh no, actually just came out recently.
Came out last week.
But I've been waiting for this movie for like 2 years.
Yeah,
and I think we're to the point where nobody cares now.
Well, here's the thing: is it came out. It did okay. There's been a lot of discussion of was it promotion, what's it called?
Fatigue.
Because it had got delayed from the pandemic, or is it the Army Hammer controversy? A lot of people said, do people not watch it?
Y'all, I didn't realize all the craziness that you were telling me. Like he was like somewhat abusive to people and maybe a cannibal.
Allegedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah, it was all allegedly and the cannibalism stuff, and
maybe
it doesn't sound like he actually did anything. It sounds like he just says a bunch of stuff in relation to the cannibalism side. The other stuff, there's allegations that came out. So a lot of people were like, why would they still put this movie out? Why would that put Armie Hammer in this movie? This movie was made like in 2019, so this was before any of these allegations came out. It's not a case where you could just not include him because he's amazing.
He's like one of the main characters.
They would have to completely reshoot the film for make it work. And
it was so many years ago. I mean, these people moved on.
Yeah, and it sucks because he's really good in the movie.
Anywho, so
he's a great actor, but
the movie is Death on the Nile. It is another Poirot mystery.
Yes, Kenneth Branagh, who I think it's in 2017.
Detective Poirot.
He did a remake of the Agatha Christie novel Murder on the Orient Express,
which is really good.
And so now he's returned as the same character and directing again. This time another Agatha Christie, Death on the Nile. We know there's been versions of these before. I haven't seen them in years, so I can't even connect them to. But I was excited to see him back on the case again.
So good. And what I like about this is we get a little bit more history on him.
Yeah, it's unnecessary, but it gives some depth to his character. I
really liked it. And then at the end, when you see something happen to him, and then I'm like,
it's like him moving on.
I was like, oh, this is so good for him. And I love this man.
Kenneth Branagh, he's really good as his character, and he seems to be, even if you don't like the other actors in the movie, he's fun to just watch. And this one, he's a little more awkward.
Yeah.
Because he's finding someone he might be attracted to, as well as
new to him.
Dealing with his own issues. he's part of a case that he had no intention of being part of, or was he? And there's a lot of the normal twists and turns, and I love both of these movies, the Murder in Orient Express and this one, because we don't get enough of this murder mystery noir style anymore.
Correct.
Like I hope it did well enough that he would return to make another and just keep doing the Agatha Christie ones, because
they're cool,
because they're always involved like an ensemble.
Not the ensemble.
Thank you. Cast. Everybody's great in the movie. Like you start really picking and choosing who did that, who did it.
Yeah, because right when it started, I'm like, okay, who do you think did it? Say it now before we start.
Now, if you've seen the old movies or read the books, you already know who did it. But if you haven't, it's a lot more entertaining. Because
it is. Like I'm probably did read this, but I don't remember.
I haven't read it, but I think I've seen.
I did read a lot of Agatha Christie, and we've done so many plays in theater of Agatha Christie. So I'm trying to think like who did it. But just wet that out and just enjoy it. This was a really fun movie, and what I like is, since we're in Egypt, getting to see the pyramids and all these things. I don't know if they were really there, if it was green screen or what it was.
There was there was a little bit of clunky green screen early on.
Pretty. Like the pyramids was
the whole pyramid sequence at the beginning was kind of clunky.
I think the one aerial shot was for real, and then when they did the close up of the guy in the pyramid, I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this
and
is
even that whole line and that scene just felt
forced,
awkward, and bad.
Yeah, so
but you get past that, it's really good.
And then it's really good. I kind of found Wonder Woman to be annoying in this movie.
I think she was supposed to be, because she was like the rich
heiress.
Yeah, person. She was supposed to be acting kind of pompous and better than everybody. I think that's what you're supposed to get, but she also wasn't a bad person.
No, not at all.
So she was that character you don't really like, and they really try to make you not like her because of what she did, but she's also still a good person.
Correct.
She didn't maliciously do anything.
Anyway, I can't really tell you who did it and who dies and what happens, because that's the whole point of the movie.
But there is a death on the Nile.
It's actually really interesting and very intricate. And I think that's what I've always liked about the Agatha Christie stories, is that every character is good or bad or both. And every character may have a motive, and it may be enough for them to want to kill someone or have someone killed or be part of a thing. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so I thought this was just such a good movie. Everybody did a really good job.
It is a little slow paced at times, but that's part of the murder mystery of the whodunit and the dialogues and the interviews and kind of how it plays out, and even some of the stuff that explains when you're getting everything revealed at the end. Some of it's a little far-fetched at times, but you kind of still buy into it because you're like, oh, that's clever, and
because they'll take like a one-liner that somebody said in conversation and be like, oh, but remember, so-and-so said.
And that's what I like about the final, and I did in the last one too, was when he starts telling things, he makes you believe as he's explaining it. Sorry, my cough's coming back. Excuse me. He makes you believe like he's telling you it's this person. You're like, I knew it. He's like, but it wasn't you. And you're like, you just said it was, fool. No. But no, it's entertaining. It's only in theaters. It's definitely, if you like the original, you don't have to see the first one to watch this one. It helps because you at least get a vibe of the character. I want to say in the original one, at the end of it, he talked about going to Egypt. Maybe so like they made it like this was a follow-up.
They connected it
but
really well.
I'll have to go back and look because we didn't get a chance to watch it. One of the few times we did not watch the first movie before we went. So anyway.
Don't do that.
We've seen it. We just didn't rewatch it.
Okay.
So moving on.
It's
in theaters now.
It's in theaters.
Okay. On the Nile.
Let me talk about this
one. All right. This one you saw by yourself because I couldn't go to the screen.
So I went to a screening earlier this week. This is the new movie with Channing Tatum titled Dog.
Is there a dog in this movie?
There is a dog, and it's a lot of just Channing Tatum and the dog for a lot of the movie, and so you've really just got to get into this movie, and it's actually very easy to get into. This also marks Channing Tatum's directorial debut. He co-directed with I don't remember the man's name now, but you'll look it up for me and tell me because I can't see it. I'm not on the review.
This is the most engaged to this show you've ever been because you can't touch your computer.
I can't. So the guy basically that produced like Magic Mike, 22 Jump Street, that guy.
Reed Caroline.
Caroline. So him and Mr. Caroline partnered together to co-direct this movie. And it's really interesting when I watched some interviews with them. I did some research on this movie because I had to go watch it and write a review. That they didn't want to make just a movie like what they would call a sad soldier movie. it does have elements of that. You see in the trailer, he is charged with taking the soldier's dog to the man's funeral, the guy that has passed, the soldier. But the interesting thing is that we're dealing with a lot of heavy themes, but in a lighthearted, kind of funny way, a little dark comedy-ish, but some drama as well. So Channing Tatum is dealing with some severe trauma, like emotional trauma, but
PTSD
severe
stuff?
Yeah, PTSD, but also he has some traumatic brain injury stuff that a lot of soldiers have now because of all the explosions and this and that. So they're dealing with that and his dependency on medication. So that's coming up in there. His refusal to seek treatment, but also his inability to kind of get back into normal society. Like he can't function like a normal job. He tries and it's just not working. So he's so desperate to get back into some sort of an action or security job or whatever, even though he knows it's physically not good for him and mentally either and emotionally. At the same time, we're dealing with the same struggles that the dog's having because the dog has PTSD as well. And the dog is just all out of sorts because its owner, its handler, is the guy that passed. So they're both dealing with trauma. And it's interesting that throughout the journey, even though the dog isn't physically talking, because you're saying dogs don't talk, but they don't talk human. But that little dog with his little sad dog eyes just has so much to say. And in response, Channing Tatum's character is like talking to the dog, and it's like actually very therapeutic. And I think we know that as dog people. I can hear the dog snoring. Like you talk to the dog, and I think sometimes it does help. You know, you share with them, and they listen to you with their sad little puppy dog eyes, and you're like, oh, you get me.
You can also share secrets with dogs, and they don't tell nobody.
This is true.
And thank God, because I'd be in so much trouble if she knew some of the stuff the dogs know.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, I just thought it was a really good movie. I laughed, I cried, and I was just all about it. It was really well done. And
so what you're telling me, it's Turner and Hooch with military.
Yeah, but it's not funny like that. It's a little darker, a little deeper.
Understood. Well, I know hearing a lot of stuff like Channing Tatum's been away from Hollywood for a couple of years.
Yes.
And I know part of it, like he spent a lot of time trying to put the Gambit movie together. And the Disney purchase of Fox and a lot of stuff happened. And he said it like emotionally just crushed him because he was so wanted that part and so wanted to develop that movie. And it'd been like a really hardcore thing that, you know, he hadn't done anything other than, you know, like some cameos and, you know, what he should have been Free Guy, I think it was. He did the voicing on that American animated thing. But beyond that, he's been kind of missing in action. You know, and now he's got he's got another movie coming out, the one with Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
He's got something else coming out too. So he seems to be kind of back on track, but maybe he needed it to recharge. And
yeah. And the interesting thing too is like the dog in the movie, the dog's name's Lulu. That's actually the name of his former dog was Lulu. So they kind of gave her that character name.
Who, Channing Tatum's?
And it wasn't even this kind of dog, it was just the dog. But
yeah.
It's interesting because then throughout the movie, we see kind of what happens to a lot of these dogs that, you know, they're done with their service and then what happens to them. The same kind of like what happens to the soldiers that come back from service. So it's
discarded.
It's really interesting. It's pretty deep, but it's not overly depressing and sad. It's just really good and emotional and moving. So I would check it out. And I really enjoyed him in this. I mean, I like all of his fun stuff and, you know, his like stuff.
Well, this one was new this weekend.
This was good.
And it actually, I think it was number 2 this weekend, but it performed better than they expected.
Good. I'm glad.
As number 1 movie this week was Uncharted, which we didn't get to go watch. And it did better than expected as well. So everybody's,
that's good.
You know, despite Uncharted not getting some great reviews from critics, it got some better reviews from audiences.
That's good.
But people are wondering between the franchise and maybe Tom Holland is actually a big draw now, and not as Spider-Man, because this is our first chance to really, because his last movie, that Chaos Walking movie, didn't do very well, which is that science fiction thing. You know,
it was a little weird.
It was good. It just wasn't. You know, it was hit and miss. So, but this one showed that he is still a draw. But now he's also talked about taking a break from acting because he wants a family and you know, him and Zendaya bought a house together now. And so he's talking about like his whole career now has been wrapped up in Avengers and Spider-Man. And
it's all consuming.
You know, so at one point he said he wasn't going to do any more Spider-Mans, but he probably will. So who knows what's going to happen now? But he's if Uncharted did as well as they said it did, it's probably got another franchise on their hand now. So
Yeah.
even though that was a movie that Nathan Fillion was attached to forever, Mark Wahlberg was attached to. It's funny, that movie, Mark Wahlberg was attached to play the Tom Holland character years ago.
Wow. Okay.
By the time they made it, he got older, so he's playing an older character, and Tom Holland's playing the other character.
Isn't that what happened with that other movie too, with the kid from the escape thing? That other movie where what's his name's the younger version of him.
Probably. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to say yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, moving on.
Anyway, yeah.
Next.
Dog is in theaters now.
Okay. Do you want to talk about this, or you want to talk about these?
Out, so you just pick something.
Oh, we'll talk about this.
Oh God. Okay.
All right. I was so excited for the new Jennifer Lopez movie, Marry Me.
I was not excited because I don't like anything Jennifer Lopez has done in the last 15, 20 years.
Wow.
I like her back when she did stuff like The Cell and
when she was still just Jenny.
U-Turn. Yeah, before The Block came in. U-Turn. What is that other movie she did? I really dug.
Before she was all fancy and rich.
Yeah, before it was pre. No, it wasn't even before she was fancy and rich. It was before she started just doing romantic comedies. She did a lot of a variety of stuff that I really dug.
The Cell was good. And
then she went off the rail on these bad romantic comedies. But then, and then she did Hustlers, which was really good, which was her last big one. I think she was nominated for an Academy Award, wasn't she? Or just a film was.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Anyway, Golden Globes maybe. But that movie I really dug. So I was like, okay, she kind of, I hate her music, but that sucked me back in. But this one, I want to say, the trailer to this movie has pissed me off from day one.
Why?
Because the whole premise was just stupid. And I love Owen Wilson. I love Sarah Silverman. So I was willing to watch it despite Jennifer Lopez. And because I'm not a fan. But the premise itself was just so stupid. So I was like, they better make this premise make sense. I'm going to be pissed. Thankfully, they did. And they made it a little more realistic than what the trailer.
And they brought up some of the issues that we were like, "How is this even possible?"
Yeah. So,
but they did talk about it.
So by doing that, it actually works, and I rather enjoyed it.
All right. So we watched this movie while we were on vacation.
Yes.
In the hotel on a very small baby screen.
Because this movie, "Marry Me," it actually simultaneously released in the theaters and also on the Peacock streaming service.
Yeah, so I was very happy to be able to just watch it. I love Jennifer Lopez. I love all her movies pretty much. I love what she does. And for me, this was just exciting to see because we have Jennifer Lopez and on the poster we have Maluma, who I'm a fan of as well. So I was like, woo, Latin star power making a movie. Let's do it.
Even though that's not the actual poster for the movie.
It doesn't matter, but this is the pretty picture I found.
Okay.
I like it.
I think this is the promo for their song.
That's okay. I like it. And that's why I picked it, because they're cute. Okay. Anyways, I thought this movie was amazing. It's so adorable. Amazing? It's amazing. I want to watch, I want to go watch it again right now. I've wanted to watch it 3 times already.
Well, watch it.
I'm going to.
I think it might still be there.
I'm going to go watch it. Anyways, I think it's great.
It's a good movie. I
think
enjoyed
it's completely plausible.
Well, the way they handled it. Yes. The way they
Oh goodness.
Excuse me. The way they ended up handling it made sense. They touched on the annoying aspects of how does that even work, and by using the obsession of social media and the craziness of things that celebrities do, it actually made it believable.
Yeah, and in a way, I mean, it does bring up that whole thing about celebrity and just all the crap they have to deal with.
Well, and when I wrote the review for it, I gave it a good review. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It was funny. It's heartfelt. I don't like him. He annoyed me.
Maluma?
I thought he was awful in the movie. Okay. It was his first movie. He's not an actor. He's a singer, so whatever. I hated all the music in this movie. None of it. It all just felt bad. It just wasn't good. And this had nothing to do with Jennifer Lopez music. The songs they were singing, I was just like, people want to hear this, knowing this is actually real release music too now. And when you start talking, because I didn't know who Road to Paloma was, and
because she came on The Voice and sang one of those songs.
Okay, I don't watch that stupid show.
Oh, okay. But I'm just saying, promoting the movie.
Well, I knew about this "Marry Me" song being promoted because they were making a big "Divorce Me." They were making a big. They were making a big to do about the release of the song from the movie, and it was them and then you started talking about how big a deal he was. And so when he started singing on the screen, I'm like, people like him?
They do.
And I'm like,
they
whatever.
love him.
But also,
Hispanics are flying.
Hispanics don't have good taste. So it's obvious. Oh, I'm just kidding.
That's a diss on yourself.
Oh, I'm aware. Look at. Is it me or is it you? Look what you're.
I love you. Look how cute you are.
I'm aware of what I look like, girl.
But do
anyway,
this. Like when we were younger and skinnier. That's what I'm talking about.
I've never been skinnier.
Yes, you were.
I've always looked gross. I'm always like Shrek. I've looked very much like Jon Favreau now.
You do.
Every picture from Disney,
Favreau.
Every picture from Disney, I look like I was a Jon Favreau. I'm gonna start cosplaying as Jon Favreau.
You should. Just show up in a little.
Anyway, I ended up enjoying. I love Owen Wilson, and he was great in the film.
I love Owen Wilson.
They have good chemistry.
They do.
I bet they're best friends. They worked well together. The story was funny. It's heartfelt, but it's actually deeper than just a stupid romantic comedy. It's actually kind of a journey of two people finding what they're missing in their life. One person's missing excitement, one person's missing normalcy.
Yeah.
And they kind of find each other, and it's cliched and it's predictable, and you know exactly where everything's going to go. But because you dig these characters and it's two polar opposite of lives, it's interesting and kind of fun to watch. And they do touch base on how would this even be possible? How would you really handle it if this really happened? And once they show how it plays up, what you don't see in the trailer, then it's like, okay, I could totally see this happening in real life.
Yeah.
It'd be stupid, it'd be scandalous.
It'd be insane, but that's what celebrities do.
But we've seen this crap numerous times. We've seen way worse stuff that's not believable in real life.
J-Lo actually married that backup dancer, remember?
Well, J-Lo's married about 75 people.
She needs to stop marrying people, and then she'll be happy. Like, she better not marry Ben Affleck, because if she doesn't, they're going to break up. So just stay dating.
I don't know. I think by this point, I think the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez thing may work now, because it was that kind of thing where they were together, they separated, and now they've both become different people, and they're back together.
Maybe.
So I'm ready. Even though I can't believe
Garner will help keep them together.
Yeah, she seems to be fine with them. Of course, there was somebody asked her about her feelings on it. It's like all she cares. She's like, I don't care what they do. All I care about is Ben being a good dad.
Yeah.
So.
And I think she actually really cares about him. I mean, she helped him get through rehab and all that, and they weren't even together anymore. I'm very upset that him and Anna de Armas broke up. Made me sad. Oh wow.
But they have a movie coming out. That's why they started dating. In the trailer, I think nobody knew if it was going to get released, and I forgot the name of it now, but it's going to be a Hulu movie, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it's like some kind of an erotic thriller, because the whole trailer are him and de Armas like on a blanket in the park or something, or in the woods, and they're talking, and I think suddenly there's some manual sexual touching happening and some moaning. The whole trailer is that. It's like 30 seconds of just and then I'm like, what is happening? And now I want to watch it.
Of course you do, you perv. Anyways, check out the movie Marry Me. It's on what?
It's on theater. It's in theaters, and it's on the Peacock app. But I don't know if they do like HBO Max, where it was only for 30 days. Peacock is a little different, so it may stay on there the whole time. I don't know.
It's the paid version.
Yeah. You can have the free Peacock.
Free Peacock.
You can have free Peacock, but you have to have the paid version. And there's two different tiers of the paid streaming to be able to watch the thing. And they don't do everything, but they have a lot of stuff on there.
They have lots of good stuff. Okay, I'm moving on. Now you get to pick between that one or that one. These.
Let's do this one, because that's a whole nother discussion.
All right. This was new out in theaters this weekend. Movie The Cursed.
Yes.
And they were promoting big time. Like, I got 2 emails or so. I saw a thing like, come and see the scariest movie of the year. I'm like, well, the year just started. It's only February. So, okay. The Cursed.
And I originally ignored it. Then I started paying attention and noticed that it was potentially werewolf themed. So I'm like, I'm in. I'll watch anything that's a werewolf. And sadly, most werewolf movies are bad. But I'll always give them a chance.
We try.
Hoping to find that one, that's Ginger Snaps or Dog Soldiers or The Howling or Werewolf in London. Some of those movies in there, and there's a few of them there that are work. A lot of it boils down to how they handle the creature. Is it CGI? Is it man in suit? Is it even a werewolf? Is it told this and it ends up being somebody in a costume? There's a lot of variables to how they deal with it. One of the best ones lately was the comedy. What was that werewolf? Oh man, now I forgot the name. Dang it! It was that comedy one about the town. And
yes,
werewolves.
Werewolves Within.
Is that it?
Werewolf Within.
Okay, yeah.
Something. It was so fun.
It's funny and it's violent.
But good at the same time.
And it's a murder mystery as well.
The creature looks really good in that.
Yeah. So anyway, this movie, The Cursed, it's got a lot of people that I've never heard of. Boyd Holbrook in it, who's I believe the son of Hal Holbrook, who I was once on an airplane with, and I forgot her name, but the lady that plays The main daughter in Yellowstone is also in it, but she doesn't really get a lot to do. So it was a little disappointing that she was there and didn't do anything. Anyway, tell everybody what the movie's about.
The movie is about these mean people who steal land from the gypsies. And you know, if you mess with gypsies, you're gonna get cursed. We've known this since the time of Buffy and Angel.
We've known this since the Wolfman movie.
Since Angel tried to kill, or he killed one of the gypsy girls, got cursed.
That's how the original Wolfman movie was.
It's a gypsy curse.
They gypsy cursed them into the like.
I'm just like, look, don't mess with gypsies. That's why I think Rubina. She's from the motherland.
It's her neighbor.
I think she's from Romania.
Is that even her name?
Yes.
You've been calling her that since we moved in, and I don't even know if that's her real name.
She said that's what she said when she introduced
She's such a sweet lady.
She is so nice, but I think she's from the old motherland of Romania, so I'm super nice.
You don't even know where she's from.
I'm just like, hi.
You just decided.
Hi. Go gypsy curse.
The ladies does nothing. There's nothing weird at her house. She just takes walks all the time.
She does decorate for Halloween, so I appreciate that about her. But yeah, don't mess with the gypsies. That's basically the premise of the whole movie.
She's outside her window right now. Listen to you talk about her.
The interesting thing, can I talk about where the silver teeth are about?
Yeah, you can, because that's on the poster, and it's like, it's not actual teeth, really.
No, it's silver.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I thought that you killed the werewolves with silver, but they're using the silver
to contain it.
I guess
they kind of use it. That's kind of what I gathered.
It was interesting, and they relay it all the way back to the Bible.
Yeah.
About what's his name taking the 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus. And so it's interesting that that's where we're at in the story with the cursing. But anyways, basically the bad hombre steal the land. And so of course the lady's going to curse him.
Hombres.
I'm going to tell you that scene where they kill the gypsies.
That's a great shot. It's a wide shot.
It's just insane because I imagine that's what really happened when all the white men came and take over all the lands of everybody. Like, it wasn't just like, hey, get out. It was like,
well, here's the thing with this movie. This movie, I enjoyed the movie thoroughly, but it's very hit and miss. Up until that sequence, which is at the beginning of the film, it's a wide shot of you seeing the little gypsy village, you know, their tents and whatnot. And you get a wide shot of all the people on horseback with their torches riding up. You see a discussion happen. You don't hear any of it. You see them discussing, and then all of a sudden somebody gets shot, and then chaos ensues, tents being lit on fire, people being murdered. But the whole time it's shot almost like a faraway aerial view, and it's really, especially for a film that doesn't look like it was probably a mass budget movie, it's really well shot. It really sets the tone. The problem with what happens is after that, the movie tends to drag.
Yeah. I mean, because that I think was kind of one of the big highlights. There's another big one, but yeah, that was a highlight. And to me, it was just so like significant because not that it was just this gypsy village, but like that's what they did constantly to every new land. And there's this discussion around like the little town.
Well, that goes all the way back to like the Old West,
yeah,
the Indians,
the Native Americans,
yeah,
the Mexicans, the whatever. It's that same thing. And the thing was, there's this one line where like the town council or whatever are talking and having this meeting, and they're like, well, who has the deeds to the property or whatever? They're like, oh, they may have a claim, but we can make some papers to get rid of that.
Well, like, what I always find interesting too of the delusional beliefs of these people is there's a scene later in the movie where they're talking about when the other chaos starts happening, the repercussions, if you will, of what they did,
the curse
starts happening to them, and the guy's like, well, they're attacking my family. We should get revenge on them. And you've completely ignoring the fact of what you did to make them attack you. It's like, it's that same idea of saying, well, they shot my son. I don't know why they shot my son. Like, you do realize your son killed half this person's family, but they're the victim, not the victims that initially caused the thing. And that's always the case in all these things. And it's always a white person, you know, that did it.
Too bad. The other big,
crusty old white guy.
I think the other cool big moment was finally seeing the creature, or seeing people.
What you think is a creature.
What you think is a creature, and then how they maybe become creatures, or
there's some,
and the actual creature.
Yeah, there's some CGI stuff that's not great, but there's also a lot of man in suit type stuff,
which was really nice.
The gore effects and the kills and stuff are really well done, especially for a movie that, like I said, doesn't look like it had a mass budget. I like the visual tones are very gray and dirty and it fit the feeling of what the movie was in the time period.
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting a horror flick and a period piece.
Yeah, all together.
All kind of together in a drama that's and they tried to, they did some really cool original takes with the theory of these werewolves and the creatures.
There's this one thing, like at one point there's like all these things, and I was like, what the heck?
Like you can't tell if they're tentacles or roots or.
But that is, and then you see that it like starts forming, and I was like, that's a really interesting idea. Instead of just a normal like busting out of your skin, like it was a different version of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to give. There's some really cool stuff I don't want to give away. I think you should see it.
Yeah,
just for the creature
it is
effects.
A good movie. I want to say another friend of mine posted earlier, and we usually see pretty eye to eye on horror flicks. He thought it was amazing. He loved it.
I thought it was slow,
and I was like,
it was good.
I dug it. I thought it was a good movie. It's just drags, and my concern is people that aren't really into it and really willing to give it a chance are going to bail before the cool stuff happens.
Yeah, because at one point I was like, man, is this thing almost over? And there was still like 40 minutes. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And
okay.
It drags a little bit. It also takes a while before it reveals anything. So things happen. So it's not boring from a standpoint like nothing's happening, but there's these quick moments of whether it's a kill or reveal of something, but you never really get that reveal until almost the end of the film. And when it finally starts happening, it picks up and becomes pretty entertaining and violent and creepy and whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's not scary at all, but that's all, I guess, a matter of perspective. Yeah. I dug the movie, but it's not on my top list of werewolf flicks, but it's
fine.
It's worth checking out if you like
I like the design of the wolves and how they were moving and how they make it fit their story, their version of the story. It worked really well.
It is one of those that I think is worth praise because they did something original and different.
Yeah.
While still being familiar, and it works, and it's especially one of the not final shots, but one of the last halves of the movie and some transformation kind of stuff they do is really clever and really well done effect wise.
Yeah.
So. Which was weird because it was a moment we thought was kind of the end of it, and then it still went on further after that too.
Well, because it had to go back to the beginning, which you missed.
There's a whole beginning and end aspect that doesn't even need to be there. That part I thought was a waste of time.
It's just telling you
because it's so far apart that by the time we got to it, I'm like, what?
And like, don't you remember?
I'm like, no, I don't remember any of that.
I had to rewind to the beginning and show you.
and I'm like, oh,
it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't. Really? It's not even necessary for the story, but. Yeah. I understand what they're trying. Anyway, The Cursed is in theaters now. I don't think it's on anywhere else. I think it's just in theaters right now.
Yeah, so go check it.
Give it a chance. And speaking of horror films that we're right now.
Yeah.
So this weekend they also dropped the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie on Netflix, which I've been excited for.
Netflix, okay.
And it was produced and I think co-written by Fede Alvarez, who is the person that directed the Evil Dead remake and Don't Breathe, the first one. He wrote Don't Breathe. If you don't know Don't Breathe, that's
breathe
the blind.
In, breathe out.
That's the blind guy.
Don't breathe. Stay quiet.
Breathe in, lights out.
Breathe in, lights out.
That's an inside joke. And then the guy directing it, I believe. I don't remember what he did. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he produced it. Somebody else directed it.
Okay.
And I think somebody else involved with the writing might have been attached to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So what this one is if you don't know, there's with this film, I think there's 9 movies in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
We did not watch them all.
I'm probably going to go back and watch them just for the fun of it.
Okay.
But we did go back and watch the original film because this movie is much like Halloween did, is a direct sequel to the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is one of the movies that's kind of I don't believe it's really the first, even though it gets its credit. It's kind of the birth of the slasher type flick. You post if you know, you can correct me, but I'm pretty sure there was something else, but this was the one that got the credit. And it has created, he was kind of the first iconic slasher, Leatherface. When you think about the slasher flicks, you think Leatherface, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Chucky, that the Scream clown face. Those are kind of the big ones.
Yeah.
But he was kind of the first. It's also funny because it's one of the least bloody of the genre to ever be made.
Yeah.
It's all in your mind, really. You see blood, but most of the stuff it's not super gory. And you believe it is. until you rewatch and like, oh, there's not that much blood in this movie.
So we rewatched it. I even put a picture of the cast because I know your favorite characters in this cast.
Franklin, piece of shit.
Like,
Franklin is the most annoying character.
Like, he deserves to die. And then
Franklin, I posted on Facebook. I've never wanted another character in any movie in history to die more than Franklin.
Poor thing.
Franklin is a character in the wheelchair, and he is super annoying. And it made it even funnier as I read a little excerpt thing that Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface in the original, hated the actor that played Franklin as well. Come to find out years later, he talked to him and didn't realize that he was a method actor, and he basically stayed as Franklin on and off set the whole time. So when he met him later, he realized, oh, that's not him. He was being that stupid character. They became friends all the way until both of them have died. So,
anywho, so what do you think about the original?
I love the original. It's not
any problems, any issues, dated.
I mean, it's a lot of it's horribly acted, but it is dated, but it takes place in that time period. Correct. So it's not dated from a standpoint to me like going back and just watching a cop flick and you can tell it's the 70s. This movie takes place in the 70s. It's supposed to be the 70s. It's supposed to be that time period. Everything screams that time period.
Correct. I love it.
I love the over-the-top nature of all the characters, the ridiculousness of it. I love that it's everything you remember about that movie, about how violent and gory it is, doesn't exist. It's all in your mind. You know, it is violent, but
maybe I'm sure at the time period it was like, whoa.
Yeah, well, and
what were they rated when it first came out?
The director was trying to get a PG rating because back then PG was like R-rated movies, right? You look at something like Lone Wolf McQuade with Chuck Norris.
Yes,
that movie is rated PG.
It's violent.
It is very violent, but it's actually, I think they've re-rated it by now. But back then, I believe you just had G and PG. We didn't have PG-13. True. They had some R stuff, but he was trying to get a more mainstream. So that's why he wasn't showing as much of the blood.
Gotcha.
The problem was the censors and all those people found the fact that it didn't showcase all that blood made it more terrifying. And they gave it an X rating.
Oh my gosh.
And he kept fighting with it until he finally got it to an R and he just gave up and said, okay, fine.
Well, I enjoyed the original. It was good. I'm glad we saw it again because there were some things I'd forgotten. And I like whoever it is, the girl at the end.
The main girl?
Yes.
Played by the late Marilyn Burns.
I love her because she does what you're supposed to do. You just keep running.
Yeah, there's a scene where she runs through a window.
Run, and I'm running through a window.
She's in the top floor of the house. She doesn't even stop to see if there's anywhere to land. She just runs straight out the window.
And she's running.
Hits the ground.
And I'm like, she should have broken a leg or something. There's no way because she gets up and keeps running.
Well, and it's so many funny, great stories come from because that movie was a low budget movie. Mm-hmm. It was guerrilla film. They didn't have permits. They didn't. They would just like set up somewhere, and they said it was in the 100-degree Texas heat.
I believe
they said that
so sorry, we're in Texas.
The budget, they were talking about Leatherface Gunnar Hansen's shirt. They only had one, and so he had to wear the same thing the entire thing of film. But they couldn't wash it because it was dyed. So they said he started stinking so bad nobody would stand near him. At some point, the dinner sequence they used real rotted meat, and they said between the rotted meat and the body odor and everything else. What's his name? Oh crap! The hitchhiker. I just went blank. I know I've met the guy. He's a super nice guy. He's wacky, but he's nice. Anyway, the guy that plays the hitchhiker talked about in an interview one time about him. Said that was the worst experience of his entire life, and he was in Vietnam. He's like that smell and dealing with that was just so bad. But the fact that it was an independent film and all the stuff they do, and for it to be such an iconic film,
it's a big deal.
Is crazy.
And then I still at the end with the dang truck driver, I'm like, just drive the truck. Like, why are you running?
But like I said, I've decided two things happened. One, he ran over a human being, and it could have gummed up the truck and the engine or whatever. The other was when he jumped back in the truck, when he starts chainsawing the door at him, panic sets in, and he's afraid he's getting through the door, so you're just trying to get out the other side.
I guess.
And
then, of course, the most iconic at the end is what's his name with his chainsaw.
He's swinging because he's just crazy in his pointy boots.
Yep. And then we get to the new one.
So now the new one is basically taking a playbook out of the Halloween franchise, where they remade Halloween, or they didn't remake it. They made a new Halloween that directly connects to the original one with Jamie Lee Curtis returning as tortured of all the years of suffering and stuff from her night during Halloween, ignoring all the sequels. This movie has done the same thing. Sadly, they couldn't bring Marilyn Burns back. She passed away. So they did cast another lady to play Sally.
And they did a good job with that. So at the beginning of the movie, they show the girl from the first one, and then it kind of morphs into this new lady. I was like, okay, that works.
Now they used her less. She is not as pivotal in this movie like Jamie Lee Curtis was. And I was kind of happy with that. I wasn't totally happy with what they did with that part of her story. Because like I said, it did feel rehashed, but at the same time, I love that they do that because it kind of lets that character get a definitive closure other than just whatever happened to her, which is what happens in a lot of these movies. But this one is jumping the time period since the first one. It's ignoring all the sequels. It's jumping 50 years ahead from whenever the last movie was made, and we're following a group of kids who, do we have any? Oh, cool. We're following a group of kids who are somehow connected to auctioning off some town that was taken by the bank. It was kind of a weird setup, but it's got this underlining thing dealing with PTSD of violence, gun control.
Yeah, because
what is it? Not rejuvenation. What's it called?
Gentrification.
It's a lot of those little elements are in there, but it's not preachy.
No, but it's in there, and it lets you know, and it says it straight out.
Yeah, but it's interesting the way they take it, especially dealing with the gun control stuff and school shootings and things they deal with, and then being in Texas where guns are very common.
I liked it. You know, the guy just walks up to get gas. He's got his big old gun on.
And I like
normal.
They also didn't cliche go with the hillbilly guy who automatically becomes an asshole. Right. You think this guy's going to be a jerk. It ends up being kind of a really nice guy, and it was also an interesting direction of telling us where Leatherface has been this whole time, kind of. They don't say a word, but you kind of create your own backstory of when he was spinning in a circle and his family was killed and whatever, that maybe he just found this person and they took him in and he's been living in this same place, but it's made him peace because he was in a good place. Because if you watch the original, they're beating him, they're treating him like crap, he's abused, and that kind of connects with his craziness. Now he's a little more mellow. In theory, we don't know what he's been doing, but we assume. And the events that lead into making him kill again make him pissed. And you almost agree with him, because they kind of screwed him over.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I guess I didn't immediately get it, that it was him. I don't know. I didn't get it at first.
What part didn't you get?
You're like, it's Leatherface. I'm like, what?
Yeah, she was like,
I'm so confused.
She was like, could that be? She was like, maybe that's someone else just acting like him. I'm like, what? No, it was obvious. What movie do you think we're watching?
Well, because in the old movie, I'm thinking he's already old, but I guess he was.
He could have been in his early 20s. He could have been a teenager and just been big and.
But how many years later is this?
50.
So how old was that lady? If she was in her 20s,
she looked like she was in her 70s.
Oh, so maybe
she was gray haired.
Maybe he is too. Maybe he's 70 or 80. I don't know. I guess you could still be a serial killer if you're 80 years old.
But if you're crazed,
why not?
If you're crazed, you don't really worry about stuff. But anyway, I
guess it doesn't matter.
This Leatherface was way more angry than the previous movies. The previous movies, he felt like, you're in our house, I'm going to kill you.
Correct.
The other movies is like, the family does it, so I kill because the family makes us, or people are there that shouldn't be there. This one, he's going out to look for them. Mm-hmm. And it's got such a great selection of kills.
Yes.
Like there's this mass murder sequence that is awesome.
Yes.
That you root for because you want pretty much everybody in this movie to die. It's like some of the kids are a little annoying.
Not as much as Franklin.
Yeah. No. Nobody will ever be as much as Franklin. But it's like an amalgamation of Franklin and a bunch of people.
Yeah. Well, because it's all your preppy little.
Yeah, they're all the hippy dippy.
Like let me drive my Tesla.
Yeah, they're all the people at Starbucks.
Yes. And then the funniest thing to me, because this is what happened, and I think it was important in the there's a flashback scene to a shooting. Yeah. And I don't know if you caught it. Then in the new one, the mass murder area, as soon as they see Leatherface, nobody runs. The first thing they do is they do this.
They start picking up the phones.
They're like, come at me, bro. Come on. I got you. I'm filming. I'm going to tell everyone.
The guy's like, you're canceled, bro. And I'm like, that is that's both the stupidity.
So these people are there getting killed. Like,
well, that's what I loved about that.
Really?
That kind of
So dumb.
speaking toward today's culture, because not only is it
I'm running
the cancel culture mentality and wanting to put it on thing, but it's also the lack of willing to help before you film.
And the other thing is that they were showing like what would really
people thought it was
like,
fake.
This looks so fake.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. I'm like,
but you know, it's
really?
that idea of like how many videos you see somebody that's fighting or getting beat up or getting
and nobody does anything.
And yeah, you're like, put the phone down and help somebody.
Help these poor people. Like we would help.
I
would. Except I might run though in this case.
You don't, as long as it's not a llama attacking, you'll help.
Oh, I told you too in this movie. I'm like, I'm gonna run, but stay with me. Or no, I told you don't go into an abandoned wilderness without me. Like, don't leave me.
Don't
alone.
run away and leave me there.
And he's like, do I need to remind you on our honeymoon?
You left me on a mountain.
But you could still see me. I didn't go off into the
Something
woods.
rustled in the bushes and she just bolted.
I said run.
Didn't tell me jack. She took
run.
off running and I'm like standing
He
next to
didn't
where
run.
the bushes rustled, so I would have been taken out.
Whatever.
She would have been
a
newlywed and a widow in the same day.
If there's a serial killer, I'm running.
Anyway, there's been a lot of flack given to this movie. Like
Really?
people are saying it sucked. People are saying
everybody.
I'm like, I like this movie.
I really liked it.
Like,
I
sure,
watch it again.
It's got some issues. It's got, you know, cheesiness, but you know what? I love every Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I'm not expecting Shakespeare. You know, yes, they have problems, but I liked the way they did Leatherface. I liked the story behind them. Again, I wasn't a big fan of how they handled Sally's story arc because it felt like rehash that we've already seen. But at least they put a different kind of spin on it. That she's not just the you know, both of them, like her and Halloween, neither one of them are the victim, but this one had a different take on the victim mentality. It just felt like kind of shoehorned in a little bit. Like they could have done this movie without her.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
they could have tweaked some stuff. But either way, you watch these movies for the kill count.
And I liked the kills, and they were creative kills,
Yeah.
and a lot of them were different. So I appreciated that.
Yeah. I enjoyed the movie. I don't care what anybody says. I unabashedly enjoyed this flick. There's an after credit scene that's kind of like, what? That promises maybe more, and hopefully Netflix, and it was like I think in the top 3 all weekend, so hopefully Netflix will say, let's do another one. We got a new franchise on our hands.
Go Netflix.
I'm all in.
Go.
So
check it.
I think the new guy, his name is Mark Burnham, that's playing Leatherface this time around. I thought he did a good job. He's big, he's menacing,
he's very tall.
And this one also, Leatherface felt like he had some fight in him. It wasn't just,
he's like, I'm back.
It wasn't just crack you with a hammer or cut you with a chainsaw. Like he would like run at you and crap. And there's nothing more scary to me than when you like get one of these guys like Jason or Freddy, whatever, and they run at you. Because, you know, you get used to them just walking. You know, I don't remember which Friday the 13th it was. Maybe it was the remake. But, you know, most of the time Jason just walks, shows up, kills. And there was one where he'd like running behind somebody. I'm like, no, that's not okay when they decide to run.
You're supposed to slow walk, like in that movie.
The Behind the Mask.
Yes,
that movie's awesome.
He's like, you gotta do a lot of cardio, bro.
If you've never seen Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie
fun.
Vernon, you must check it out.
He's like, you gotta make sure you nail all the windows shut. Like, it's so funny and silly at the same time.
And I don't know why they have never made the sequel. That guy's been fighting for the sequel for years. They've never made one. Anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is streaming now on Netflix. If you're a fan of the movies, it's worth checking out. Don't go into it, like I said, thinking it's some kind of change in the nature of horror or creating some deep thought. It's Leatherface, it's murder, it's mayhem, it's blood, it's fun, it's awesome.
It's really good. All right.
Oh, my turn over.
Your turn.
All right.
I gotta get over here.
We only have a few things coming out. We're wrapping up the month. They're releasing The Green Mile on 4K, which stars Tom Hanks and the late Michael Clark Duncan. It's also a movie we're giving away on our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
They're also releasing Escape from LA on 4K, which that's one you actually liked better than Escape from New York.
I did.
Which is a very controversial thing to say. But
sorry,
it is what it is.
I think it's a better movie.
I think both movies are fun.
I mean, they're both dumb.
They're both fun. The second one's a little more
fun. They're dumb.
The second one's a little more cheese than the first one. The first one's a little more serious, but
I guess.
It is what it is. There's a movie called Shattered coming out that we'll talk about next week. That's got Cameron Monaghan, Frank Grillo,
I like Frank
John Malkovich. House of Gucci is coming out to Blu-ray and DVD and 4K.
Such controversy with House of Gucci.
And The King's Man, the unnecessary prequel film for the Kingsman series, is coming out.
That's okay.
Hard Target. is getting the 4K treatment, which is one of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, directed by John Woo, one of his very first American films. And also, hoping they show up so we can talk about them next week. Shout Factory, through their Scream Factory brand, is putting out Alligator and Alligator 2: The Mutation on 4K. So I'm very excited for those. Hopefully, I've seen them, and hopefully we get them, and then we can watch them and talk about them.
Because I've never heard of such a thing.
I bet you can't guess what it's about.
Alligators that kill you.
It's exactly what it's about.
Mutated alligators.
That's the second one.
All right. So then coming out at the theater on the line. So coming to Disney Plus is Free Guy on Wednesday.
I thought it was already on there.
I don't know. It says it's going to be available to everyone on Disney Plus. Coming to Paramount Plus is the movie 3 months later. It's the coming of age movie of this high school girl dealing with life. Who knows? All right. Coming out Friday, The Desperate Hour. It's starring Naomi Watts. She is dealing with a school shooting situation, but she's out in the woods hiking, and her son
I didn't know
this.
Shooting. I didn't know what this is.
And so she's trying to get there in time.
Yeah.
The other big movie is the new Cyrano movie, which is finally coming out.
Yes,
it was delayed.
Peter Dinklage.
Yes, it looks really good.
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
In my head, I'm thinking of the funny one with
Roxanne, Steve Martin.
That's what
I didn't realize that Peter Dinklage had done this on I don't know if it was in Broadway, but on the stage.
Yeah.
And his wife wrote the screenplay for the movie, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I played for you him singing.
Yes,
on the
so good.
Jimmy Fallon or Kimmel or something.
I'm excited to see it. I think it'll be.
I love Peter Dinklage anyway. I love Peter Dinklage anyway.
Coming to Hulu, the movie No Exit.
That's the one I have that I told you about that's the one about the people that are stranded and they find a kid that somebody potentially
kidnapped. So these people are stranded during a blizzard, and a girl finds out that one of the people in the blizzard with them, stuck in this station or whatever, has kidnapped a child.
We'll watch it tonight if you want.
But we don't know who it is.
If you want to watch it tonight, we can.
Okay, we'll do it. Coming to Netflix, Tyler Perry's A Medea Homecoming. It says Medea's back. I thought we were done with Medea.
Yeah, but they're
back. So everything else I think is limited release.
Yeah, but that one you should try to find because this one is showing at our theater locally.
Okay, so Studio 666. It's the new movie with the Foo Fighters.
And it's about them. They're playing themselves, recording a new album.
This trailer is ridiculous.
It's a horror comedy, but
because the house they're in is haunted, and I guess Dave Grohl gets possessed by this evil spirit to make the music, and people are dying, and I think it's going to be silly but fun. And there's a lot of coming to Netflix is a movie called Restless.
Restless.
I know. A cop's life spirals out of control because he tries to cover up an accident.
I'm doing a joke that nobody even knows what I'm talking about.
I know. And I think that's kind of it for this week. There's a lot of things out in limited release, but get out there in the theater.
Well, we also haven't seen Uncharted. We haven't seen Moonfall, so we'll probably try to hit some other stuff that we haven't seen. So we may talk about some new stuff, but we'll definitely, hopefully, unless my link runs out, talk about Studio 666 next week. Probably No Exit.
Yep.
And then hopefully Alligator 1 and 2.
Alligators. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live.
I didn't tell you about.
Oh, you can tell me the contest. There's free movies.
Hold on. Most of them are the same. We haven't, because I've been gone, I haven't done a whole lot, but there's a couple of new ones. Okay. We still have copies of Malignant, Halloween Kills on 4K, the Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos film. There's the Green Mile on 4K, which I just told you about. We have copies of King Richard, starring Will Smith, the Academy Award nominated film. And also a movie which I'm very excited for called Invincible, that's coming out, starring Mark something strong, I don't remember his name, but also Mark Zoror.
But we're excited about
Marco Zoror, which is the guy that did the Redeemer movie. I have a quote on.
Oh yes, he's so good.
Yeah, he's a martial arts guy.
He's really
the movie itself reminds me of Silent Rage with Chuck Norris, where it seems like it's a guy who's like a medical experiment. He's unstoppable. Have you ever watched Silent Rage?
No, but it sounds amazing.
That's Chuck Norris's only horror film.
Sci-fi or
horror film, which it's we might watch that tonight.
Okay. I'm game.
If you haven't seen Silent Rage, it's a movie, but Chuck Norris plays a ranger or a cop. Shocking. But the premise is it's a serial killer character or something like that he kills.
Mm-hmm.
And through some science technology experiment, they bring him back, and now he can't be killed. So it becomes almost like Halloween, where the guy's like showing up. Like, the movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid because he'd like be behind doors, be like, and like murder people. So like Chuck Norris is fighting the guy, but he can't kill the guy.
Yeah.
So like Chuck Norris jump kicking him and stuff, and just the guy's just like, it's really good. It's the closest thing Chuck Norris ever made outside of Hellbound, but Hellbound's trash.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. That's where you can find all these free movies. And we will see you next week.
Peace and love.
Bye.